Yo, YouTubers. So I've been reflecting on my content, and I think I'm just not giving enough of myself. I'm not sharing enough, and I've realized that the YouTube's all about showing how you screw things up. Well, this is one way you screw things up. You tell yourself you're gonna do a stereo swap, and in the meantime you start pulling apart your interior, and while the interior is off, you think to yourself, oh, I'll paint it. As you can see, the airbag cover is black, and there's some black. Comment below if you like it or not. I'm not exactly sure I do. I'm just trying to tell a story here. And then while and then you don't put the parts back in the car, or correctly placed in the car. They were in the car, just in the back in the pickup truck, in a box. And we'll get to that in a second. And they're painted, but you haven't done the stereo swap, so you haven't put it back yet. There's a couple other panels as well. Somewhere along the way, out here in the Colorado wind, something probably, I imagine I hit a bump, and probably the wind was going sideways at the truck, or I was simply on 93 or something like that, and the wind just literally is. I lost the box of all the interior panels that were in that box, and a ladder. Literally blew out of the truck. I have no other way to explain it. They were in the truck, and then when I got to my destination, they were not in the truck. I've never had a ladder blow out of a truck. But like I said, the box is somewhat explainable. The shape of the box and what was in it. It was pretty lightweight. The wind was extreme. That same windy day or two blew a trailer of mine down the street. A 2-axle horse trailer was on the other side of the street, kicked up on the curb like it had come to a stop by hitting the curb, because the wind blew it. I'm lucky there was no people or cars or anybody. I'd be surprised if that nobody. I'm glad no one was hurt. That's what I'm trying to say, or something like that, because the trailer decided to be blown around in the neighborhood. Less than a chalk your wheels. I would have never imagined a trailer that heavy would be blown by the wind, but I chalk the wheels religiously now. I have the opportunity, because you might be able to hear that squealing noise. That's the last job I did to this truck. I'm not Hoovy. I'm not Tavarish. I'm not. I watch the same channels you guys do. I'm not Doug, obviously. I get to work on my cars, and at the present time I have one. That's one of the reasons I'm making this video. I have a 98 f150 known as a Gen 10. I call it a Gen 10 Aero truck, because that's what Ford called it when they made this body style, and it was so radical at the time that it still looks like futuristic. This body style looks like it could be, like right now, and primarily because trucks have because this was so polarizing. A lot of people did not like this body style, but you can't see the hood at all, almost looking out over the front of this truck. The visibility is great. You don't have that drop down on the door panel thing, because it's not so high. Specs are different. The way the doors open are different. Everything's different. And this has the last generation of, I believe it's 98 to 03, or late 97 to 03. It's the last 5 or 6 years, 5 years basically, that they made the hydraulic assisted power steering, which is the only power steering that I know about. I hear about electronic power steering and my ears perk up like a dog that heard something weird. I'm like, what? Or problems with it, or like, I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense. I think the hydraulic fluid in general is, certainly not as green as an electric motor as far as serviceability and what you got to do and knowledge of it, man. The other point is, I've been nursing this truck along. I work out of it, contractor, and so I had the opportunity to work on my own truck, and which is 98 F150, and my girlfriend's car, which is a 2016 Ford Explorer Sport, twin turbo V6. Her father was a Ford executive for over 40 years, and so her brothers still work for Ford, and outside of Detroit, which is also where I grew up partly, my teens and my college years. It's a whole nother backstory, but being from around that city, or spending any time around it, you learn very quickly that the automotive industry is one of the only driving forces in that area. That and government contracting. I believe Raytheon is out of outside of Detroit, at least one of them, anyways. And look at that mountain out there. I don't even know if you can see that in the camera. Point being that you just get to know the cars. You're infected with information. My first job was at a radiator shop, and you really learn quickly out there that or around Detroit that if you don't know how to work on your own car, you're an idiot. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to make this a problem for people. This is a culture in and around Detroit, primarily because we all have probably felt the sting of the mechanics bill at the automotive repair shop. No one's immune to that. No one who owns a vehicle and doesn't know how to work on cars doesn't know what I'm talking about. It can be it is a real struggle for people, and any knowledge you have about automobiles is an advantage, and you can use that to your advantage to save money on working on your own car at the very least. And I say that because you don't really want to start taking responsibility for other people's vehicles. God forbid you do something wrong to their car and have a problem. If you put your car back together wrong and kill yourself, you've only hurt yourself, and it's a large encouragement. It's a big incentive. Survival is a big incentive for a person to try to put their car back together correctly. So that knowledge, and if you're going to tackle that kind of thing, it makes you feel good, and you build self-confidence in doing so. And I've rebuilt several vehicles throughout my life, but over time, I didn't have a fleet of 6 vehicles with 3 in the shop. But normally the story goes like this: I get a work truck. It's either right around 15 to 18 years old, just shy of the 20-year mark. I drive it right into it right around the time it's 20 years old. That's usually, for the most part, they're sitting at just over 200,000 miles. This one's a little higher mileage, in my opinion. It's got almost 250,000 miles on it. I don't really know the exact history on this vehicle because the odometer and the title, for whatever reason, don't match up. My theory is that this vehicle got a motor put in it somewhere along the way, possibly at the dealership. I would not know why. It might have been an insurance thing. But it runs way too well for a lot of the other problems that sort of are popping up. But I could be wrong. It could be the 100% original motor, and there's plenty of things under the hood that would make me suspect that it is. And I haven't checked the VIN on the block, now that I think of it, to verify anyway, one way or the other. So maybe I'll do that. Point being that, a couple things. I've replaced all the accessories on the front of the motor, right? And the last one I did was the power steering pump. And if you've ever had to make the decision between using the core for your old power steering pump and getting a new one with a pulley or without, I would recommend you get the one with the pulley and avoid the headache of, first of all, trying to get the pulley off. Second of all, trying to get the pulley back on. Oh my God. Now, obviously, go to your local auto parts store like I ended up doing, and getting the tool to just put it on with a wrench. God forbid you're trying to do it in the middle of the night when there's no stores open, and trying to get it off with a pry bar and a sledgehammer. Don't do that. Don't do that, because you'll ultimately ruin the pump. But fortunately, I did not. I did, however, tweak the pulley, and so now the belt just squeals like a stuck pig. It just sits out there and whines like I'm driving around in 1971 in a farm truck, which is whatever. I might try to tweak the pulley again and see if I can get it straightened out. But that's not the problem. The problem is that now I've realized the power steering leak is from the hydraulic gearbox, which is the last generation that they use that hydraulic gearbox. And frankly, I love it. I love it. I have driven my girlfriend's Explorer, and I love that thing. I love that car. It is beast. It is in beast mode. That thing spits fire. Not literally, but it is a rocket ship, and it's no wonder the police use them, because if it's any faster than that sport model, wow, hang on to your hats. That is an impressive machine, and what I get to do with that, what I've done with that is she's banged into a couple things with her Explorer, and the visibility in those is a problem. Anyways, that's no secret. There's that, and in 2016, ruby red Explorer, and she's like a supermodel. Seriously, my girlfriend's hot as fuck. Pardon my French, and she just looks great in that thing. She looks great in it, and she she gets busy, and she's taken out it's always like a parking garage or like a yellow parking pole in a parking lot, and so the headlights on that thing, both of them would take a little bit of a lick. She completely destroyed the right one. I've replaced it with a aftermarket Ford replica part, and it looks great. It's not exact, and there's little differences. Actually, and that's what I'm going to show you that in the video at some point. I'm going to talk about her car. But the thing I've been doing with her car, the main thing is trying to straighten out what I can when I have the body panels off, but trying to get the headlights going, because each headlight, excuse me, and each fog light has its own little computer driver guy, little switch system that lets them know when to shut on and off regarding what other lights are on and how long to stay on, and they're very susceptible to water. And if you crack your headlights on the Explorer, and you don't get it dealt with right away, or seal up that headlight, even with tape, once water gets in that little computer down below, it's over. It is lights out for that thing. And she even though her brother and her father were related, were employees of Ford for many years, and her brothers still are. Even with their discount on a headlight assembly, I still found her a headlight assembly without the computer for substantially less, and then I found her a computer, which is also a pretty high dollar item for a great price. And so, with that in mind, I think she spent $250 or $350 on the entire headlight replacement headlight, and then she went ahead and took her. She was very excited about it. We all were. She hadn't had a headlight on the right side of her vehicle for over 2 years. Not a good one. It's a long story. Finally, we got the right side going. Looked great. Vehicle had 2 headlights in it. She was happy. I was happy. We're still happy. But then she took it for a car wash, and apparently the left headlight has also been compromised.